Hi, my name is Dion Marcelin Lewis. Currently I live in the Greater Toronto area, and along with my colleague Sandra Beauvais, we've set up a new business called New Traditions. So what this business is about is we would like to teach people how to cook, but this is a little bit different in that we're hoping to teach people how to cook traditionally. So as you ask, what is traditionally? So traditionally does mean that we're cooking and using a lot of the techniques that grandparents and great-grandparents might have used. So for example, if we're teaching people how to make soup, we're teaching them to make it using broth bones. So this could be bones from a leftover turkey dinner or a leftover chicken dinner. Or in some of the stores today, they sell beef bones or turkey bones or chicken bones. So this is what, in essence, we're doing. We're teaching people how to make food from scratch, and this would be, in essence, teaching people how to make food traditionally. This is one of the ways in which we'd be teaching people. Just to tell you a bit about my background, I have a science degree in the area of toxicology at the University of Toronto. I graduated there in 1994. I moved on to Saskatchewan and I have a postgraduate diploma in the area of toxicology from the University of Saskatchewan. After that point, I was not able to find work in the area of sciences, so I tried other areas. I went into finance, administrative, I did a little bit of internet stuff. So at that point, I met my husband and we decided to settle down and have a child. Our first child was born. And one of the things I noticed was he was not a healthy little soul. So in terms of what I had an expectation of in terms of healthy, he was just not a happy little soul and not healthy. So he had a lot of eczema. We had a lot of health issues with him. He was constantly sick. We were constantly at the doctors. He wasn't sleeping very well. We found that he was not focusing in school and focusing in the way that the teachers expected him to do so. So all of these things didn't sit well with me because I felt in terms of how we were parenting him, I think we were very good parents. I felt part of it might have been a parenting issue. But also I think at that time, I wasn't really able to look at the nutritional side of things, which is, how I subsequently ended up tackling that situation. So in essence, before I got to that point, we were constantly in the doctor's office. So we were in the doctor's office for allergy tests. I remember at one point going to several doctors for his eczema, being told what to do, what not to do, what to put on his skin. And I think at one point we were able to find a doctor who was not going to give him steroids because my concern was giving him a lot of steroids. And the doctor recommended another drug that looked promising, but when I actually went to fulfill the prescription, I realized that it actually was a steroid. This is what the pharmacist had explained to me. So from that point, my husband and I realized that we wanted to do things differently and we wanted to perhaps go on our own in terms of researching this problem. So from that point, I told the pharmacist I would not be taking the cream. It was a steroid cream. And at that point, we started going holistically. So we started looking at everything. We looked at what we were using to wash his clothes, what kind of soaps we were using. We changed a lot of the things that we were doing before. And we also engaged a nice lady at Thuna Herbals, which is down in the Danforth, and she was able to recommend some herbs to put in his fluids in order to get down and to help cleanse. So that seemed to work for a time, and I thought everything was okay until we got to the teeth. So as anyone who has young children would know, getting children to clean teeth is a nightmare, especially young children. They don't want to clean teeth, they don't want to open mouths, and for you to see what's going on. And sometimes, to be fair, a lot of them are teething. So when they're teething, they don't want anybody's mouth, they don't want anybody's hands in their mouth. So they're very obstinate about opening mouths. So he was going through a period of time where he was not opening his mouth for me to be able to clean his teeth. And this one time, this one day that I was able to succeed with him and was really able to open his mouth wide, I saw several cavities. And at first I thought, well, perhaps these are stains on the teeth. And I really was in denial. I mean, to me and to my mind, I'm thinking, he's too young for tooth decay. So anyways, check back within 3 months later, there was more. So, on some of the back molars, there were some more stains. You look like brown stains. And again, at this point, I thought, okay, it's time to really take a look into this and take a look a bit further. So we went to a dentist. I found him through a directory in the Vitality magazine. He was a holistic dentist. And we went in there, and he was very nice, and he was able just to take a look. And he goes, you know what, I'm seeing 3 cavities, but he's very young, and that he's not going to be able to sit down for me to actually work on these. And also, you're going to need x-rays to see if there might be more cavities. So at this point, my husband and I said, okay, well, we'll have to just do what is necessary. And we went to another gentleman in the city. This gentleman was a dentist who specialized in children. So this was a children's dentist specifically. And one of the things that I noticed when we walked in was just a sheer number of children. So these are all children that had been referred, and they're usually referred for pretty serious dental issues. So a lot of these children have massive cavities, whatever have you. They are not the typical case. So most dentists prefer to refer the children, especially if they have severe dental issues, to this particular dentist. So he had a lot of patients. So when we were able to get in there, he gave my child a few x-rays, quite a few x-rays, and was able to give us a verdict that he actually had 6 to 7 cavities that were pretty serious and that needed treatment. So he would have to submit to treatment, my son, over 4 times. So he would do four sets of treatment within a year, and this would all be, he would be sedated. It would be the nitric oxide, so he wasn't completely sedated, but he couldn't eat or drink for a few hours before. So in terms of really going from there, that was really an eye-opener for me and a wake-up call, because I felt this child is too young to have tooth decay so severe. And the fact that, this dentist was pretty laissez-faire, as if I could use that word, with regard to this, and the fact that he explained to me that he'd seen tons of children in the same situation. He'd seen many children whose teeth were rotting as they were erupting. So these teeth had to be extracted. They couldn't do anything further, and they had to maybe use crowns on some of these teeth. And this was these were some pretty serious scenarios he was describing. At that point, my husband and we were discussing this, and I came to the conclusion, I said, there's something going on. I don't know what it is, there's something going on. And I think anyone who has a science background, they will tell you that we're very analytical. So I need to know what's going on. There's a reason for why things happen, cause and effect. So at that point, I told the dentist, you know what, I've got insurance, let's go for it. We'll go ahead and schedule our child in, and whatever we have to do to support him, we will. But at the same time, I felt this requires some kind of investigation. So I need to know, why are we seeing so many children in this state? So many children with dental issues. I was able to, I got a hold of a really great article written by a Dr. Mary Enig. So Dr. Mary Enig was a scientist in the United States, and she had devoted a lot of time and energy to investigating coconut oil. So it was a very good article on the benefits of coconut oil. And reading her article, I thought, you know what, this actually seems pretty good. It's very balanced. She's able to give studies to back up what she's saying. And for me, as a scientist, who doesn't want studies to back up research. That's kind of the name of the game. So at that point, there was a website at the bottom of her article, and I thought, you know what, why don't I check this website out? And I did. And that to me was an eye-opener. It was, wow, I can't believe all of the information on this place. It's incredible. I think I spent a good 2 to 3 days just reading through all of the articles on the website. And a lot of these articles were talking about what was going on. Why are we seeing so many children with tooth decay? And it outlined some of the principles of traditional diets. So just to outline a few of these, I'm not going to get into detail into them now, but one of them was making sure that children take cod liver oil. That's one of them. One of them was, making sure you eat broth, eggs, butter, cream, all of these things that, modern day pundits will tell you is not correct or not politically right. We should be eating a lot of fiber, low fat. So these things very much contradicted kind of the information I'd gotten, and I think at that point I was able to say, you know what, let's try this. So let's get a change here in terms of what we eat in a day and what we're giving my son. And we implemented some of the changes in terms of adding cod liver oil. I was a believer. So when I saw the website, I was absolutely amazed. All of the things that they told people to do in terms of nutrition, I wasn't. So I was using a lot of margarine. I was eating a lot of refined carbs. We had a lot of sugar in our diet. We're eating a lot of the wrong foods, basically. And this website gave tips on how to find some of these good foods, as well as how to access, some of the other hard to get items. So I started implementing a cod liver oil right away that I was able to find in the stores. And at that point, when my son was finished his treatment, this took about 6 to 9 months in which I was able to really implement some of these changes. He had 3 more cavities coming up, and this was determined by the x-rays. So the dentist, after finishing the treatment, said, okay, let's x-ray his mouth and see if there's more cavities. And lo and behold, there's about 3 or 4 more cavities that were developing. And at that point I said, to myself, I'm not giving you any more money. I need to find out if this all works, this protocol works. So, we try to cut out the sugar as much as possible, the refined carbs. We got him eating more eggs, more bacon, more meat in general. We started adding more yogurt to the diet. And I started adding cod liver oil. And this made the difference. So the next time he saw him, within the next 3 to 4 months, those developing cavities were gone. So he had gone in for a cleaning. And at that point, I was a believer, for sure. I had seen that, perhaps, in essence, a diet like this in theory could work, but I actually saw a practical application of this diet. So this, to me, was the diet that we needed to follow. And from that point on, as years progressed, I would find other ways to incorporate different things into the diet, such as fermented vegetables and some of the other components of a Weston A. Price diet. So at that point, I think that was a changing point for me, and really I was able to, I think I changed, I grew in terms of really seeing the big picture. And the big picture is really our children's health. Why do we have children that are not healthy? Children with asthma, allergies, you name it, they have it. So this turning point was really a huge factor in my wanting to start something like this as business, Nutritions, because of the fact that I learned how to do these things. I would like to show other people how to do them as well. And the thing is, you know what? We all are very busy. We have very little time. But the main thing that I would like to stress is that we need to take time to eat properly. So in order to nourish ourselves, we need to take the time. This is very crucial. And this is a big reason why I started the business Nutritions.